Hello, how are you? I hope it's good. I know I've recorded this video several times. This is the third time, and I never finished it because I lose momentum with it. I wanted to talk about all of the arcs that I've read this year. Well, it wasn't this year, it was last year. All the arcs I read in 2024. I don't want to talk about the bad ones, and I don't want to be mean to an author just because I didn't like their book. Because about 95% of the time, from what I can tell when I look at the Goodreads reviews, it's my fault. It's me. It's because it wasn't for me. So I just wanted to talk about the books that I still think about and I liked and I remember and that make me excited to talk about. So this isn't like a lame video for you to watch. We're going to start with, this is the first one I read. I think we're just going to go chronologically because that's the easiest way to do it for me. Finding Mr. Right. This one was a 4-star for me. I still think about it because it's funny. It was a funny book. It was so cliched. It was a walking, talking trope, but a book. And if you're not into that, if you can't put yourself in the mind space to enjoy something like that, then don't read this book and review it negatively, because I will throw hands. I really will, because it's so dumb and so funny. I really liked it. It is by, I think I already said her name, Kelly Armstrong. And what I love about Kelly Armstrong is that she usually writes horror. She writes horror novels and like thriller stuff. And she just was like, I think I'll try my hand at romance. And I love that for her. So there's a girl named Daphne. She writes a super dope, apocalyptic, survival YA fiction book. And it's good. And she's pitching it. She's querying. No answers, no responses, getting nothing at all. And one night when she's wine drunk, she decides, you know what? I'm just going to change my name to a man's name and see what happens. And she chose, the name she chooses is Zane Remington. What a name. She submits her query. She gets flooded with all sorts of options and is excited about it until she realizes, oh, I either have to tell them all I was lying about being a man, or I have to find a man to play Zane Remington. And that's where the chaos begins, truly. So her best friend is like, I know a guy. He'll help you out. I'll hook you up with him. We'll figure it out. It'll be great. She talks about this guy. Oh gosh, what was his name? His name's Chris Stanton. But he will play your Zane Remington. So she gets him his number. And immediately, because Chris is like, I need to be the type of person, like an outdoorsy, woodsy, full of himself kind of guy, which he's not, he starts texting her some of the most ridiculous things and being the most ridiculous person to try and convince her that he is like correct for this role. But she doesn't have any other option, so she goes with him, even though she's like, I hate you, but you're perfect for what I need. And of course, he's like chiseled muscularly and beautiful and probably blonde and blue-eyed. So she's like, it's perfect. It's fine. It's whatever. It'll work. The book obviously gets a lot of attention because Chris is hot is really what it comes down to. And because of the way that he handles some PR stuff and just the stuff he says, you know, so they're going viral. And the book immediately is like a bestseller. They have a book tour going on that they have to go to, and yeah, there's a movie deal opportunity, and she's still pretending to just be his assistant. So yeah, I don't want to like spoil everything because, you know, I've told you basically everything that happens in the book, but how it ends. So, but it's really funny. It's really cliched. It was just fun to read. I feel like when I am in a reading slump or I don't feel like reading, just a silly little romance, whoop, I'm all better. That's what I needed. I just needed a silly little romance and I feel great. This book does have a lot of like sexualization. They're looking at each other and like, they are hot. I'm a spice skipper. So just for your information, there's a third act spice scene. Really easy to skip in my opinion. Just, you know it's there, you know it's still going. It ends at the end of a chapter and you're good to go. Anyway, that was Finding Mr. Right by Kelly Armstrong. I think it's great. 4 stars. The next book I read that I really liked, and I think the author is about 95% of the reason that I love it so much. I could not tell you how to pronounce her last name correctly. I live in Nebraska, so you know, like I'm in y'all country here, and her last name is Riccio, Riccio. That's, you tell me, someone tell me how to say it, and that would be great. If you can comment how to say her last name so I feel less like an idiot. I love her. I follow her on Instagram, and she is so authentically herself that it's like, it makes you feel like you can also be authentically yourself on the internet, which as a person that's trying to be, like right now, I'm trying my best to be authentically myself on the internet. It's not the easiest thing to do, because every time you do something, you're like, that was very stupid, and I'm going to have to cut that out in the edit. She just finished her, I haven't talked about this book at all, but she just finished, I think it was her 5th book. She finished writing it and it's doing the stuff or whatever. She's like transparent about that process on her Instagram, and it's cool. Anyway, she just finished writing it. It's an adult romantic fiction, which is great for her, you know. I think she's cool. And I'll probably read that book if I can. I'm all for it, you know. Anyway, this book is Attached at the Hip, by Christine Riccio. And the main character, her name is Ori Lennox. And she kind of has a small business situation with her sister. They do like yoga for the Instagram, and they're famous, and so they get a bunch of brand deals, and they are able to make money from it, and that's like their business. But she's not particularly satisfied with that life. She has a boyfriend who, like, he's fine, but she's not really that into him. Doesn't really like see a future with him, but she feels like, we've been together for how long? Like 5 years, I think, in the book. I don't know. I don't remember. Again, I think I read this in March. On a whim, she auditions for Survivor, and I don't know if it's like Survivor or if it's alternate universe Survivor, like they gave it a different name so they don't have to worry about stuff, you know. She isn't cast in Survivor, but she's cast in this like experimental, like romantic edition of Survival, where she is thrown on an island with 9 other people, 10 total, or maybe it's 12, honestly. Again, read it in March. You should read the book. This is why I'm telling you about it, so you can read the book. Thrown on this island, one of the people that she's paired with, the person that she's paired with first, is her high school crush. And he was hot stuff in high school, and he is still hot stuff now, baby. Look at that guy. What an attractive specimen. And the caveat of this show, your pairings, you are attached at the hip with a 6-foot line of rope, and you can't undo it. I think the only reason you can undo it is to go to the bathroom, which is pretty funny. And so in this game, if you've ever seen Survival, I've never seen Survival, but you're like doing these tasks and you're trying to win, so that way you can choose who's going to be your next partner, to make alliances and then see who's going to be eliminated and yada yada yada. And then the last person that isn't chosen is put in like solitary confinement, basically. Like they're just thrown into the woods on their own, which really funny. So she's really excited to be on this because she's cutting ties with everything in her life, and she's off the grid for like however many weeks and is feeling great. And then she comes back home, the show is airing, everything is happening, and it's like, whoa, why is that person being a liar, and why is that person saying those things? And like, I thought we were friends, and like just all of the drama, really. And I don't know, like so it takes me a while to read a book typically. I finished this book in 3 days. I stayed up way too late reading this book on multiple occasions. because it just sucked me right in, man. I was all in the zone for this book. It was so fun. It feels the way that watching reality TV feels, where you're just like, I don't know why I'm sucked in, and I don't know why I love it so much. Maybe I shouldn't, but I do. You're just living for the drama. You're there and excited, and there's romance budding, and it's just great. It really is. It was so entertaining for me. I don't see how you could read this and not enjoy it. And here's the thing. I saw a lot of people, and I have beef with the people that did this, that left 1-star reviews on this book before they even read it on the Goodreads. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because they didn't like some of the author's previous work or something. And it's like, have you read this book? An author changes throughout their word for discography, but for books, you know? So it's like, don't do that. Don't do that. That's so dumb. And again, if you are gonna read this book and take it way too seriously and then leave a 2-star review because it wasn't as like serious as you wanted to have it be, then don't read the book. I will throw hands. Like, stop putting yourself on a high horse. And if you're gonna, oh my gosh, for some reason this is airing out all of my embedded rage that I have. Anyway, next book. All right. The next book that I read in succession was By Any Other Name by Jodi Piccult. And this is a book, this is hard for me, man. Okay, so technically I rated this 3.5 stars, which is not like that's pretty, that's for me, that's like, yeah, that's a good book. But it's because it's in this review because I can't stop thinking about it. I don't know how to explain to you this book. I want to tell you the entire everything about it because it stuck with me, man. By Any Other Name, Jodi Piccult, beautiful cover. That's about 80% of the reason I read it. I finished this in June, the beginning of June. It is now basically February. I've been trying to do this for so long and it just hasn't worked out, this review video. So it's almost February and it's probably too late to be posting this, but it's fine. This book follows 2 main female characters. One is like semi-present day 2020s Melina, and one is Amelia in 1854, I think it says in the synopsis. Very wrong. 1581. That's when Amelia is around, is 1581. They are both playwrights. Now, Amelia, 1581, sort of like Victorian, Elizabethan, whatever, you know. She's around the Shakespearean age, and she is sold at like 12 or something to be this guy's ward. And when I tell you what, when you read that, it's pretty sad. The way this is written makes you think that Jodi really did her research, and I'm sure she did. Like, Amelia Bassano is a real person that existed in this time period and did actually publish some like poetry, I think. So yeah, she's a real person. The guy that she was sold to does all of the plays for like the Queen's Theater or whatever, and he reviews the plays that are sent to him and it's like, this one will be good. Nobody asked for your opinion, Mr. Clock. He's like, this one will be good, this one will be bad, you know, sorting through. And sometimes she helps him because she's a writer. She writes poetry, she writes plays, you know, that sort of stuff. So she keeps seeing this name pop up and she's like, man, this guy really sucks. His name is Shakespeare. And as she gets older, she meets a guy. His name is Southampton. Honestly, their romance, the parts in there that are them together, it really, like, something about it is just like, oh, I don't know. I really don't. I really wish this book was just all Amelia. That would have been so good. But she meets Southampton. They fall in love. and, you know, sneak around and whatever. He can't like be with her because she's the ward to that guy and he's some sort of earl or something. Anyway, she has a friend. His name is Kit. And that's as much as I got for you. He's a real person also. And he was a poet, I think. And he's like, so you want to have your stuff like published, just sell it to this guy. He'll buy it and it might get published. And guess who that guy is? Shakespeare. That's crazy. And she ends up doing a lot of work with Shakespeare throughout the whole book, selling him several plays, several poems, all that stuff. And Shakespeare is clearly making money off of her and, in the opinion of this book, other playwrights. So Shakespeare is just the guy you give your stuff to, and he's the figurehead behind these plays. Amelia becomes pregnant with Southampton's kid. And so she has to leave as being the ward for this guy. He sells her back to his family where she has to marry her cousin. And he is an abusive, nasty, evil, disgusting drunkard who is abusive and evil and nasty and disgusting. But yeah, she goes through a lot. She has a lot of things that happen to her. They go through the plague like twice or 3 times or something, and she sells these little herb sachets to be able to like repel the plague or whatever. So she's making money. She's a girl boss, CEO. I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry for that. That was, no. She starts a school for girls so that way they can, you know, learn, because they're not allowed to at the time of 1581. And she's still publishing plays, and then she finally is able to publish a book of poetry under her own name that has like very few copies, but still she published something under her own name. And so she's awesome. Okay, Amelia is so cool. Melina, on the other hand, is the worst person ever. She annoys me so much. Everything about her fills me with rage every day. Melina was a college student, wrote plays, slotted to be like the next big thing in playwriting. But then she gets one bad review from some guy at her college, and he's like, wow, this was a bad play. And so she's like, well, now I can never write another play again. And she doesn't for 10 years. But it's that guy's fault that she doesn't write plays, okay? And then she writes another play that's really, really good, and it's about Amelia Bissono. Her roommate, who's a black gay man, that does come up later, is like, you need to submit this to everywhere. And she's like, no, I can't do that, no. But then they're wine drunk, and he submits it under the name Mel, which is his nickname for her, and apparently a masculine name. The only Mel I know is Gibson. The play like wins and is accepted or whatever. I don't remember. I think I read this in June, I said, so it was a while ago. She forces her roommate to come with her to pretend to be her because he's a man. And everyone's like, wow, it's so cool that this black gay man wrote this play about this woman. That's awesome. Let's get it in the big times. And so they start trying to produce it like for Broadway. And the person that's trying to produce it is the person that gave Melina a bad review in the first place 10 years ago. And so she's obviously torn about this situation, and she's like, we can never let him know, because if he knows that it was me, then he's going to hate the play and stop producing it, because he obviously hated me and not the play, and he's sexist. They start, I think either the roommate or the guy that's producing the play, who becomes the romantic interest for Melina, is named Andre, and I cannot remember which one, but we're going to pretend that it's a romantic interest. His name is Andre. And Melina and Andre start having a connection. They're talking about Amelia. They both, for some reason, are like, yeah, I don't think Shakespeare wrote any of his plays, actually. Andre is portrayed as, it's not said in the book, the words autistic or autism or anything like that, but he's portrayed in a way that makes you, like, look directly at that, you know. But it's not, like, actual autism. It's, I like gray, and I am rude and mean and say what I want to say because I don't understand social cues. And that's not that's not like autism. That's like the puzzle piece autism, you know? As a person that knows the people with autism, several, I don't know, it's not the vibe for me, and it bothers me a little bit. Because she forces her roommate to pretend to be the playwright, she's like labeled as homophobic and racist, which I don't particularly understand how that happened. I don't know how we got to that point, but they do have a conversation, her and her ex-roommate at that point, about how it's like, yeah, I have been in this industry for forever and have been trying to write plays for forever, and nothing has stuck, and now all of a sudden something that you wrote is sticking, and I'm pretending to be the writer of it, and I have all of the success for something that I didn't do. And as a person that's representing the Black community and the gay community, it kind of hurts and it kind of sucks. And she's like, oh yeah, I didn't see that. I didn't see how that was the way that would be, but I understand that now. Anyway, I don't know. MacLean's the worst, but the ending really does stick you right in the heart, stabs you real good. I cried a little bit, and that was before I was weirdly hormonal. So it's good. I can't stop thinking about this book. I genuinely think about this book at least once a week. Really good. I do recommend that you read it. Even though I hate Melina so much, you probably will not hate Melina as much as I do. But read the book. Genuinely read the book. I rated that 3.5 stars, but it would have been 5 if it was purely Amelia. The next book that I would just fall on the floor and die for is The Phoenix Keeper by S.A. MacLean. Look at this cover. It is gorgeous. Something about it, you just snap right to it. You can't help but look at it. It's beautiful. I love the cover. It's gorgeous. This book is magical realism at its finest. I love it so much. We are following, her name is Ayla, and she is a phoenix keeper at a like mythological zoo. It has all sorts of fake creatures that are real in this universe. Dragons, phoenixes, the Kraken. The Kraken is here. The Kraken makes an appearance. What else can you ask for? Truly, it's a lot of fun. So Ayla is the Phoenix Keeper. She has a female phoenix, and one of the zoos downtown, some other city, has a pair, a male and a female, and they've mated and they have the eggs. There are like a ring of poachers that are stealing phoenix eggs. Phoenixes are so valuable in this universe that it's like you get in one of them eggs. I think there's like anti-aging properties to it is the issue or something. I don't remember. So it's kind of sad when you think about it, actually, because it kind of makes you think about animal cruelty and beauty. But people are stealing those eggs. People are stealing dragon eggs. People are stealing just anything that they can to make money and poach. And the zoo that Ayla works at ends up being able to take on the male phoenix from that zoo. And she is trying to get them to just even like each other. In the beginning, that's very hard because they will kill each other if they don't like each other. So they have to do like short little exposures. They have separate like cages, whatever the nicer word for that is, where they can like not see each other, but they can hear each other, and they hate each other. And she's trying to figure it out. She wants so badly for it to work because this has been her dream since she was a little girl. And her best friend, who is also working in the aviary, they have different aviary sections or whatever, is trying to help her out. They redo the whole phoenix breeding room or whatever, their whole confinement, everything. Like everything is looking spick and span. And Ayla also has a crush on the Dragon Keeper, and he's a hottie, and he works with cool dragons, and his dragons are the ones that were stolen, the dragon eggs. They were the one that was stolen. And she has a mortal enemy who said something slightly mean to her once in college, so now they're mortal enemies. That's how that works. And she runs like the bird show that draws most of the attention to the zoo, but Ayla's like, the birds are cool enough on their own. They don't need to do fine, cool tricks to be in the bird show. But anyway, it's just a lot of fun. And I went to a zoo while I was reading this book, and I highly recommend you go to a zoo when you're reading this book because it makes it even more fun to do. This book really is like just cozy. It's a cozy little fantasy novel. You're kind of just watching her build her dreams and fall in love, and then at the very end solve a crime. So it's really cool. I really enjoyed it. It was a good time. Next book. This book, I think, really, it's mostly because it's a debut author and it has some undiagnosed ADHD representation, which is a vibe. I rated it 4 stars. It's called Only Here, Only Now by Tom Newlands. I've got to be honest, this is very character driven, not plot driven, and I'm not into that. It was very hard for me to stick with. Not to say that I didn't enjoy the book, it's just I'm like, what's the point of all this? It follows Cora Mowat, and she is Scottish. She lives in Scotland with her mom. This book's broken up into 3 parts. The first part, she's 14, and then 16, and then 18. And I don't know what I'm supposed to say that will, I don't want to say that because I feel like it will spoil it. Anyway, it's like different areas of her life where she's lived. So this one, she's living in one part of Scotland, and then another part of Scotland, and then another part of Scotland. There's a lot of things that happen where you're like, this is going to be significant. I am sure. I can tell that that's going to be a very significant thing that happens in this book. And then it's not, and it's solved so quickly, and everything is fixed so quickly. And I don't know, I just didn't understand where it was all going. But it was still fun to read, and it was funny. It was really funny. And there were so many parts of this book that I would read it and I'd show my husband and be like, that is exactly how I feel. That is exactly me. So it's just, I don't know, it has a little piece in my heart, even though it wasn't like the best thing I've ever read. It was still like a really good thing for me to read, you know? I don't know, but it was good. I would recommend that this book be read by anyone that thinks that they have ADHD, because I think it will help you feel very seen and maybe even a little bit valid for feeling the way that you feel, because goodness to Betsy, that's how I feel sometimes. Now that was 5 of the 21 books I read, so a quarter of them. But I feel a lot better about about this, because I don't feel like I'm trashing on authors. There are 2 books on this list. I'm going to add them as honorable mentions, even though they were DNFs, that I think that I should try to read again, because I just don't think I was in the right headspace. The first one, The Love Remedy by Elizabeth Everett. The cover is gorgeous. Whoever made that cover, call me, dude. That is so beautiful. This book is about like an apothecary in, like, I think it's a Victorian apothecary. And she has this salve that has, like, the recipe's been stolen, and she doesn't remember what it was, and she's kind of chaotic, and there's this put together grumpy police guy that's like a private investigator that's trying to help her figure it out, and then they find out that what they really needed was to work together. But anyway, like, I would totally read that again. It seems right up my alley. I just had a hard time the first time I was going through it. I think it was a me problem. The next book that I totally think I should try to read again is 0 stars, do not recommend. And this book is about, this is by MJ Wasmer. It's about this guy who goes on a vacation and then the sun explodes. And he's trying to, it feels almost like a little bit Lord of the Flies-y, the way that the island goes after the explosion, because all of, like, the rich part of the resort is hoarding all of the supplies and rationing it out. But then this guy, the main character, what's his name? Dan Foster. He finds a plane and it has 6 seats, and he's like, so do I fly off with these couple of people that I've made friends with and my girlfriend and we save ourselves, or do we try to help the island and figure this out so that way people don't start like murdering each other over a granola bar, you know? And I think it was funny when I first started reading it. It just, I couldn't get into it, and I think it was a me problem, honestly. On NetGalley, it has a 4-star review. I wonder if, let me pull this up on Goodreads here. 3.72 stars on Goodreads. So that's, I consider that like decent, pretty good. Like, that's almost a 4-star rating out of about 6,500 ratings. I consider that good. So I think I should give that one another try, and let's see what Love Remedy has going for it, just because we're here. The Love Remedy, this is the first book in a series, just a fun fact for you, and it has a 3.56. And so I think I should give those both another try. Could be fun. Those are the books that I read. I really enjoyed them. I think you would too. I think you should read them all. Read all 5 of them. Put them on your TBRs, please. I love them. Honestly, like I'm gonna have to buy all of them because I want them as like, you know, trophies on my shelf. Because I'm never gonna read them again. That's ridiculous. That was sarcasm. Anyway, it was very good talking to you about the books that I enjoyed. I am going to make maybe a steak. I've been in the mood for steak for the past 3 months. Just every day I want to eat a steak, and that is an expensive habit to have. But fortunately for myself, my in-laws purchase a whole beef every year and then share it with us. And my husband is an only son, and that comes with perks. One of those perks is definitely the free beef. So I'm going to make a steak, and I'm going to enjoy that steak. Thank you very much. Why am I talking about steak? Goodbye. It was fun to be here. Don't forget to brush your teeth and drink your water, and maybe take a Tums or something if you really have that bad heartburn. Tums do wonders for heartburn. You eat that thing, you swallow it, and all of a sudden it's gone. What kind of magic is that? Should I be concerned?